Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, and hello! I'm Dr. David Phillips, and I'd like to welcome you to our short little video explaining something dear and precious to me. I get a lot of questions from folks asking me, dude, that's how they talk to me, dude, why do you have an evil eye in your logo? Well, I don't, but I do have an eye, obviously, as you can see from the iconography here, based upon the Egyptian Wedjat, more commonly known in the West as the Eye of Horus, or the Eye of Ra, or the Eye of Osiris, or the Eye of this and the Eye of that, because many Egyptian gods, let's say all of them, or at least most, had a Wedjat symbol. And sometimes when you see the costumes, you see people doing a Wedjat on either the right or the left eye, depending upon if they think it's the Eye of Ra or the Eye of Horus, the left and the right. But actually, while my business logo is a dream catcher with that eye smack dab in the middle, and the Society of Experiential Trance uses the eye in the circle, we're not actually using it in an occult terms. We're actually using it in terms of what ancient Egyptians considered the senses. Now, in modern society, we tend to think of the five senses, and when we think of the sixth sense, we think of things like extrasensory perception and psychic abilities. But the Egyptians believed that there were indeed six senses, and this Wedjat represents all six senses. And for the Society of Experiential Trance, we have adopted this as our Eye of Experiential Trance, because the Egyptian sensibility, the ancient Egyptian sensibility, is so resonant with our own work. For my own personal, professional logo, I use the dream catcher with the eye, because I have the Eye of Experiential Trance within the dream, within the waking dream. And the dream catcher, I'll deal with that in another video someday, maybe, probably not. Okay, you talked me into it. But let's take a look at the structure of this. Now, the ancient Egyptians were really specific about proportions, because they believed that each section of the eye should be certain. They had a geometric proportion figured out, because they believed that each of the senses dealt with that that amount of data, and how important it was for the mind, so to speak. But when we use it for our work, our logos and things like that, we're less concerned about 1/64th, 4/64ths and all that stuff. We're more concerned about what it essentially means, the metaphor of the Eye of Experiential Trance. So let's go through it, okay? Now, you're all familiar with the eye, and if you're not, go look on www.transesociety.org for the Society of Experiential Trance, or any of my websites, and you'll see that sucker all over the place. And I'm sure you've seen it in bad movies and on websites warning you about the occult, which really just means occluded knowledge or hidden knowledge. It doesn't mean anything evil at all, unless hidden knowledge is evil, at which point you're talking politics. So let's take a look at these. I'm rambling today, aren't I? You see this little happy guy here? It looks like a stick stuck in the ground. That's because that's what it is. This portion right here represents a stalk. It's a stalk of wheat planted in the ground, and that represents our sense of touch. Our sense of touch. Right here, this little segment. Now, from the stalk of wheat, you have a curly guy growing out. Now, this is the wheat itself. This is our foodstuffs, grain, and that is the sense of taste. So we have touch and we have taste. Now, over here, you got Mr. Happy here is pointed, right? This section right here that's pointed It's pointing towards the nose. If you look at your own eye, you'll see that one side points at the nose, one side points the other side. And so the pointed side pointed toward the nose, this is our sense of smell. Our sense of smell. Now over here, this long dude going out the sides, he's pointed towards the ear. That's our sense of hearing, our sense of hearing. Now this is a stylized Wedjat, so normally this eye, this center part, is a circle that encompasses the entire section here. But because this is an experiential trance, he's popping up a little bit, because in trance many people, their eyes tend to look up. And so those of you familiar with the Spiegel eye test are familiar with that. Or if you're just an experienced hypnotist, you know that a lot of folks roll their eyes up. In fact, when I hypnotize people, I ask them to put their eyes up, because in many cultures and many societies, we have sacred postures, and every major human culture has developed some sort of trance work, often affiliated with religion, and these sacred postures are very conducive for creating trance opportunities, and one of those is to look up. And that's because when we look up, head straight, eyes looking up, we're a little bit easier. It's a hell of a lot easier to go into trance. So this guy here, this circle in the middle of this large construct here, that's our eye. It's a big sucker because we get so much of our information that's fed into the brain visually. Okay, taste is important, touch is important, smelling and hearing, but visually, boom, right in the middle, according to the proportions that are normally used for the eye experiential trance. We're not buying into exact proportions for this. We just wanted to represent the different senses. So you've got our modern day contemporary five senses right there. Touch, taste, smell, hearing, and sight. But what's this dude up here? This one that kind of hangs up over there. That's what the ancient Egyptians considered the sixth sense. And that is the sense of thought. That is thought. And the Egyptians back in the day believed very strongly that it takes thought, it takes the mind to organize the data brought in by the other five senses. So thought rules them all as it interprets, gathers the data, and interprets it. All right? And we know that today. That's essentially what the brain does. The mind in the brain organizes all that data. Otherwise, you couldn't collate it all. You couldn't go through it all. You couldn't understand all that information being thrown at you. So the mind sifts through that data and creates a comprehensible whole that allows you to navigate through the world. All right? Now, something else the ancient Egyptians believed in, which is one of the reasons we use this as the Eye of Experiential Trance, and that is quite simply, with thought, you can recreate any of the senses if they're absent. So with thought alone, because it's the big guy up here, it's the ruler over the senses, you can recreate taste. You can manipulate taste. Any hypnotist can tell you that's very possible. Or if anyone has seen a stage show where they hand someone an onion and tell them it tastes like an apple, boom, experiential trance. Taste, touch, all can be mimicked, can be recreated. Smell, hearing, sight, all of these can be recreated through experiential trance. And so, this is pretty awesome, isn't it? The Eye of Experiential Trance, or the Wedjat, it represents modern use of experiential trance and experiential hypnosis. Okay? And that's why we use the Wedjat as our symbol for the Eye of Experiential Trance and the Society of Experiential Trance, and why I combine it in my personal logo with the Dreamcatcher for waking dreams. After all, my website is Brian David Phillips, Waking Dreams. Okay, well, that's that. Just thought I'd throw that up for you. I think it's awesome. You might find it just a bit more trivia that you've learned today, and that's okay. And yes, this is in my office. Well, my working office. It's behind my desk. So sometimes when you see me do broadcasts or webcasts or little videos or talking head videos, you'll see part of this. Rarely do I pull the camera all the way back. I tend to be sitting down here, so my head's about this area, so you miss Mr. Eye of Experiential Trance. But I've got a few backgrounds, backdrops. This is my favorite. Alrighty? Okay. That's that. Eye of Experiential Trance. I hope you enjoyed this informative little ramble, and I'll catch you on the flip side. Okay, this is Dr. Brian David Phillips saying, live trance and prosper. Bye-bye.